allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt, Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes.
That's why they can't do it, because everybody loves them other stuff.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
No.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
Move on with the financials.
What is it? Men's shoes? $53.
One of the utility workers went and got work shoes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, no, George. For George, I think George did. So they're the police department.
Okay.
It should say on there. Where is it at? What page?
Oh my goodness. Page 2.
You got shoes, right?
Yeah,
Boots, shoes, something?
shoe, page
Yeah,
2.
it's the police department.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move we approve the financials.
I'll second.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
I don't know where my paper just went for that one. That's the one you signed. I usually send the whole packet, but I lost my paper.
I was gonna say, this thing really about
Here.
this thing.
Okay, move on to our visitors. Shannon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where am I at? Where do you want me to?
Just
You-
wherever,
you-
stand right
I
here.
do.
This is
Wherever
fine.
you're
Just
comfortable,
do
I
this.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
There's a camera over here on the wall, so
Okay.
you will be.
okay, may I put this
Yeah.
in?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Per Dean's invitation, and thank you, it's nice to be here and get to explain the program for our county. I think giving a little history, I think will help everyone understand a little bit better since Erie Recycling pulled out. Prior to Kathy and Rob, Becky, my predecessor, had the program for 28 years. And she basically, each weekend, would have a trailer at one of the larger villages, Paulding, Payne, Antwerp, and Grover Hill. So we would have coverage over the entire county. And then she would pick up the schools and all the county offices and any other small businesses, or if someone would contact her. So it was a pretty small, actually, operation. And when Rob and Kathy started their business, I mean, we always had cohorts, but they weren't really in the recycling business like Rob and Kathy were. So with Rob and Kathy's decision to have the business, that really upped the awareness for recycling, and made it just their presence in the Antwerp community and then in the county, as they opened their doors 24/7, we could bring our material there, and they would pretty much take anything. It was his business. He did. The more we bring him, the happier he is, the more money he was making. And so when they, decided to go out of business, what had happened from prior to them is the volume for Paulding County is huge now. I think, I haven't done the stats yet, but we're averaging about 50 ton a year for the entire county. I'm still kind of coming in on a final number, an average, because we never were able to get numbers from Rob and Kathy. We just weren't. That was, unfortunately. But anyway, and so for the last year, I've been trying to just keep an eye on all the numbers that come in each month from every location, everything I pick up, and kind of come up with what our volume is gonna be. So when they first went out of business, I tentatively started placing trailers, not really sure what to expect volume-wise. And so our budget for the program, this is a little history on the program part. We get $100,000 a year to run the program. This is not a county program at all. This is a district-wide. We're in with Defiance, Fulton, Williams County, and Paulding County. We're part of a district that the EPA mandated, 30 years ago or whatever it was. And so it's some people, I think, and probably rightfully so, it seems like it should be a county program. That this is something that commissioners run, it is not. The commissioners, 12 of them for the 4 counties, they're part of a district board that oversees the programs in each of the counties, but they have basically nothing to do with the running of the program. We don't receive any money from the commissioners from Paulding County in any way. Every penny of that $100,000 budget comes from the district. They get their money from the 2 landfills, Defiance County landfill and Williams County landfill. So for the last few years, it's been voted that $100,000 is adequate to run the program. So having said that, we'll see going forward with all these fuel increases and everything else we've got going on. So what we have right now is Antwerp, to you guys' questions and concerns. Antwerp gets the 2 trailers, Paulding currently gets 3, Clover Hill gets 1, Payne gets 2. And then I go, today was actually the 3rd Wednesday of the month, I go to the small villages, which are Cecil Junction, Haviland, and Laddie on the 3rd Wednesday of the month to pick up their volume. Now, you guys, Antwerp, you are running about 1.5 ton for the 2 trailers right now. But in talking with Dean and in talking with Brian, it's looking like you guys need more. Now, obviously, to get more costs more. And so, per his request, and I've been keeping an eye on all this, and then Brian sent me pictures of the dumping, which, if I can give you any encouragement, it was nothing compared to what we had in Paulding. Just before I started placing a 3rd trailer there, it made your little pile look like, that. So anyway, to address what can we do going forward, I think there are a number of options that we can look at. One of them would be Antwerp is going to have to look at for your budget next year, possibly paying for that 3rd trailer. I can't compete with Rob. I can't. It's me, and I have $100,000 to run the program. And just for example, I'm paying for Antwerp, it's costing me $350 per trailer. So $700 plus the processing fee. And now they're giving me a fuel surcharge the last 3 months. It's averaging about $600 a month. There's your trailer right there, plus. So because of that fuel surcharge and having to add a 3rd trailer at Paulding, I'm way over my budget for the year. I'm already over my budget. I think many of us are because of the fuel. It's a problem. So that would be one option. Antwerp possibly looking at paying for a 3rd trailer. That would be one thing. I think a second option, and this is what I'm looking at, because I know that money is tight for everyone, as it is for my program. I think everybody looks at, we don't want to be inconvenienced. We want to be able to go right to our place and drop our material off, and we don't want to have to drive to Cohart's to go take our cardboard to lighten the load here in town. And that would be a solution. If everybody would just take their cardboard and drive over to Cohart's and drop it off, that would way free up a ton of space. that would be an option, a good option. But trying to get people to do that when gas is $5 plus a gallon, you know, may not be reasonable. You know, it just may not. But it's an option. If we could just talk to people and get them to take as much as they can over to cohorts, that would be an option too. Okay, so a third option, and one that I'm considering this for my own schedule as I work through the budget. One of the concerns that I've had since I took over the program, and when we had to get the big trailers, I started out with 25-yard trailers. They weren't big enough, so we went to the 30-yard trailers. How many of you are recyclers? Have you been out to the trailers? You see how tall they are, right? The sliding windows are okay, but the open trailer where we have to try and get our cardboard up there, okay, it has posed a problem for our seniors. And that's why I haven't really known how to address that to help them. Because with Rob, you know, they were used to bringing their material over, and, you know, sometimes somebody may be there to help unload, something, you know, maybe not. But one of the things I'm thinking about doing to address the need for more trailers here, and also address my concern about the seniors, is I'm thinking about taking the big trailer out that I take out, like today, you know, when I go around to the small villages. It's a 26-foot trailer, and come 1 or 2 days a week. It's not gonna be on the weekend, but it'll be during the week, and maybe coming for a couple hours each month. And that would hopefully, and this would be for seniors only. Don't ask me how I'm gonna determine who's a senior, you know, and who's not. But that would address my concern of not endangering my seniors trying to get their material up into the open container, but also hopefully address you guys' need to you know, address your volume. You guys are great recyclers over here, and that's, you know, kudos to Rob. He's the one that raised the awareness, you know, for your village. So that's one thing I'm looking at. The only problem with that is time. You know, I'm already going scorched earth as it is, trying to get everything in that I'm doing, but it may be a win-win. It addresses my need to address my seniors, but it also helps you guys with your volume. So I'm considering that. What I've arrived at is that for the months of June, July, and August, I'm going to place a third trailer for Antwerp. I'm going to monitor your volume, see where you're at, how much of it's cardboard, how much is the rest of the material, and then in August, the end of August, I'll have a better handle. I'll have 3 months of what's your volume with 3 trailers.
So will these trailers be a mixed volume, mixed material? We're gonna be able to mix on any of the trailers?
2 of them will be the windows. I'm gonna give you just the same thing Paulding has.
Okay.
2 trailers with windows, and then the 1 open for cardboard.
Okay, the windows are for cans and plastics.
Correct, everything but cardboard.
Okay.
Now, why do we do that? Whirlers doesn't charge me as much because they don't have to sort.
Right.
It's just that they weigh it, bam, right into their baler. So we did that just as a cost saving, you know, measure for the program. So that's the direction I'm headed right now. Long term, you guys, I don't know, I haven't looked at your projections for growth for Antwerp. So I'm not sure really what we're looking at volume wise, but given the nature of the beast here in Antwerp, i.e. you guys are great recyclers, you know, paying for a trailer or even going to something like curbside. Have you guys looked at curbside in the past?
We looked at it when we did our contract with our waste company and stuff. We kind of looked at the options on that, but I don't presume the village is gonna pay for it.
It's just cost prohibitive at this point.
Yeah. So I invited you because I want to raise awareness of the fact that we can't just dump our extra volume, and we are gonna make an effort to try to get more trailers out there, and I appreciate you trying to work with us to
Sure.
get something going on that, because
Sure.
a lot of people don't realize that you just can't just leave it there, because
I
you
know.
don't, your driver shows up, he's not bringing an extra
Right.
container to load it in.
Right.
And
It's
he's
actually
just gonna
against
drive
the
away
law.
and leave it
Yeah,
all there.
yeah, there's dumping ordinances, I don't wanna go that
Sure,
direction.
we don't wanna discourage anybody from.
Right, right, and I mean, I'm a passionate recycler myself, and so I very much want to address what it is you guys have going on over here. So, any questions at this point? So kind of path forward, if you guys continue, and I can let you know at any time what your volume is. If that helps you guys make decisions, I have that information.
Okay.
Tonnage, I can always provide that for you. That will give us a handle as it goes up or as it goes down.
Sure.
You know, I can let you guys know that for planning purposes.
Okay.
So any questions? Did that make sense? I
Shannon,
mean, yeah.
when we talked the other day, you had mentioned something about people leaving their bags, and you said what was that again? Don't leave bags inside, don't put the bags inside?
Thank you. One of the things that we have found is that everybody will take their black garbage bags and their white garbage bags that are full of plastic and dump them in and then take your bag home. The material disperses, whereas if you throw your bag in, it takes up so much room, right? So if you're, everybody in Antwerp, and I try and encourage this everywhere, empty your stuff instead of throwing your bags in. And and then also part of recycling is reduce, reuse. Take your garbage bags home and fill them up again and bring them back. So we're kind of, hitting on a couple cylinders there.
Breaking down the cardboard helps
Sure.
too.
Oh, yes. Flatten the
Flatten the cardboard.
cardboard. That's huge. Those are just little things. If everybody will just flatten the cardboard, empty their material instead of throwing their bags in, that leaves room. I'm not saying we can get by with 2 trailers
Right.
if everybody would do that, but,
Okay.
so those are
Alright.
just some. Any other questions that would be helpful? Yes.
Well, on the newspapers, they go in with the cardboard?
No. Everything goes in the window trailers except cardboard. So,
And no
Is-
glass.
I'm sorry?
No glass.
no, and I just found this out, to my dismay. Bryan City Recycling is going out of business also. June 30th is their last day. They got, I think Real Waste is taking over Bryan's contract. Thank you. So that's a blow, because it used to be, I could tell everybody, well, go take your glass up to Bryan, because they'll take it. and/or Van Wert, but,
No glass.
no glass. It's just, for a number of reasons. So anyway, okay, good. Any other questions?
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shane.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, Gabe?
No. So I just wanted to inform everybody that after thorough review of all the ordinance and the original zoning, the book is done, and we're ready to put it on the website. I think it's just in time for some important developments, and the map has also been updated. Just we need some signatures, and I don't know if we had time to put 3 signatures on it real quick, but it
We'll
needs
need an ordinance to do an amendment to an ordinance. So if we're gonna amend a zoning map or an ordinance, we need to do an ordinance.
But the ordinances were already passed. This
Well,
is
then we
this
shouldn't
is
have to
only,
sign anything. If
well,
we're-
the map has to be signed to make it official.
So that's already all been approved.
These are
This is
all the
not
updates.
changing
These are all the
anything.
ordinances that were passed.
Okay.
Now
As
they're,
As long as there's
they've been put.
nothing
Last month
different
they
than
put-
what we've done, like if there weren't any other
So like when they
amendments
just changed the B1,
But that
this
was
is the
approved.
map that shows the B1. This is the one that was previous. This also has the B2 changes on it
Okay,
that they
as long
voted
as
for in
those have all
November.
been through public hearing and already
Yes,
approved
all
by
that-
council, it's just a
We're
map,
not-
that's fine. If the ordinance, as
There's
long as
no-
all of those changes have already been approved through the public
And
hearing.
they've
the
been
ordinances.
referenced in the book, so I've done a very thorough job to when it's been changed, if there's a change in the book, I make a note of the ordinance that changed that section.
Okay, so
And
those have already been signed, so I'm not sure what needs.
the map has to have
Just the
the,
map, but I mean the zoning
signa-
ordinance, what would need signed?
nothing on the zoning
I'm sorry, I
ordinance.
thought
The
you said
map,
it was
the
signed.
map
signed.
needs signed to make it
Like, we can't
official.
sign
He
that.
just wanted to sign the map.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
And then we'll scan the signed version so that what goes on the website will have the signatures on it. So
So,
there won't be any unsigned,
Who's got to sign?
so I'm gonna sign it as I reviewed it, that it was complied with the changes. Jan's gonna sign it, that it
as the mayor.
As the
is the
mayor.
mayor, and then Amy's gonna sign it as the clerk, as required by the ordinance,
Okay.
the original ordinance. So,
so maybe just do a motion to approve the signing of the new official zoning map. I would have something that there's something noted in the minutes for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the map as presented by Gabe Oberlin,
Call it the official
I'll
zoning
second that.
official as of this date.
map. Yes.
alright, so, I don't know, how is this?
So we need to clear a spot for the
Well,
last part of
let's
it.
just put it on the corner, Jan.
Who made the motion?
I think
Or Bryce
Dean,
did.
or Bryce,
You
and
might
Dean
second.
second.
You
We're
wanna say
going
it,
into a
but
roll call.
Or you want to
It's
sign
all,
it?
it's just updated.
what about the?
It was approved, it was
It's
approved
just-
last
It's
month.
just, he's put in the new, whatever we changed with the zoning ordinance.
Make it
6/15/2022.
He needs to probably
Take
review
the
it.
motion to accept that too as it is, so it is covered.
Doesn't hurt, I would do them separately. I wouldn't do them. So you need your roll call though on that.
I didn't know if they were looking at it first.
I don't
So
know.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Dean Reister.
Yes.
Jason Frank,
Yes.
Steve Jordan, Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes, right.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
Motion to approve official zoning map. Say it again, that's it.
Motion to approve the official zoning map as of this date. So does that get on the website somehow?
They're gonna scan it.
The engineer's off, the county engineer will scan it, and then it'll be, I already sent I already sent you the book, Amy, and I think April was included on that.
When
Brian,
did you do that?
Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday.
Okay. It still said draft though.
No, if you look at the last, I sent you a draft on one day, and you
And
printed
then
it
you
off,
sent
and
me
then I
another
sent you another one, it didn't say draft, it said final. This, you're just signing that Jan and I signed.
Sorry.
And I did see you sign.
Oh,
And then let's just do a motion to approve the official zoning ordinance that incorporates the changes that have been made today.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll remember that to tell. Yes.
Just do a blank spot down there, please.
okay.
Okay, let's do the stamp one too.
That stamp you just had out.
No, you put it back in the box.
It's in the box. Where do you want it down here?
Yeah, it actually should be across. the
Melanie, do we need
signature
the opportunity to review it at all
Say in that
before
blank
we
spot.
approve it, or?
If somebody would like to, I mean, that's gonna be a
Yeah.
task, because we've made a lot of
71 pages.
amendments. Somebody
I've
would
got a
have to
list of
take
all
the
the
original,
ordinances,
and
so-
so somebody would
Just-
wanna
just
sit
kind of
down
as a
and go through
proofreader.
that.
Just kind of as a proofreader to, you know, check this and that.
If somebody wants to do that, we approve it the next meeting.
I mean, I would be fine with looking at it if you're okay with looking at it. I mean, or since you did it. But
I mean, I just put my signature on it, I stand on it like it's the best map we've ever had.
No, they're talking about
No,
the
the-
book.
No,
we're
the
talking
Oh,
about
the
book.
book?
no, just to proofread the book.
Yeah, hey, I would love somebody to
You know, just-
proofread
We
that.
can wait for
I
the
spent,
next
I
meeting.
don't,
Just because, I mean.
probably 20, 30, I don't know, I
Distribute it and then find
don't know
out
how many hours I
typos.
spent on this. That would be fantastic.
Sure. Do you have, like, something for me to proof it against? Like the
So
ordinance printed
I have
out?
the original, or not the original, but the last official that I could tell was from 1999.
2016.
That one?
Yes.
It was 2016 was the last time it was updated.
It,
and then-
there were some changes. So I looked through all the ordinances in 2016 that were on the village website, and I didn't see anything on and updated.
It was updated
It was,
2016. We had a
so,
new ordinance.
Okay,
zoning
because
ordinance.
that's what I
So
just
there-
received this week, was the 1999 version.
It was the
yeah.
2016.
So I would like to see that ordinance, Mel, because I
I'm
never
not gonna
received
take
it.
It's in the
I never
official-
received
it's in
it,
the
and I
official
looked through all
ordinance
I
book.
looked through all the ordinances on the village website. There's nothing on there that says,
Okay.
that I could see ordinance updating the official village
That's
zoning
what I
map.
was
and-
given, that says that this is, it's when we did, what was the name of that entity? Do you remember? Remember, it's the company that was hired.
Pogemeyer.
Oh,
Yes,
Pogemeyer
they had
did it.
they had an official that did it, that updated it, and that was approved by council.
And that was when you said you didn't like and
that-
didn't agree with
the
because they changed.
2016-19
2016.
He's saying -19.
was the ordinance 2016-19, 2016-20.
No idea.
Were the two ordinances that in 2016 that amended the ordinance. And so you're saying that there was an ordinance that approved those changes?
The one
and
that
the book.
Pogemeyer did, that was approved.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they were retained by the village.
Mhm.
It's
Do
an
we have
independent
that book
contractor.
So can you tell me why the zoning inspector never received a copy of that ordinance?
I
or-
did give it to you, Gabe, when you asked for it not too long ago, and you
the-
told me that you didn't like the way they changed the graphing and the different
So-
stuff on
So
it,
was it,
and that you never seen
where's
it,
the,
and it never
where's the
went through
ordinance?
committee.
Where's the ordinance?
Probably in our ordinance book.
Well, it's not online.
And none of it's online,
All the 2016 ordinances are there online.
but the book, the whole full book,
The full book is.
is not. You told me when we had a public records request not to give it to anyone because it was
Not the
incorrect.
26, the
Correct.
whatever I had multiple,
You told me it was incorrect and that your guys' committee never seen it and not to give it out. So I never gave it to anybody, and you kept telling me to give you the 99,
Mhm.
that's what you were going by. So when Bryce asked
Well,
for a
and
public
plus
records
all
request,
the changes that had been approved through other ordinances.
but just last week when Bryce asked for that public records request, you told me that's the one that I'm supposed to give,
Yes.
that's the official one that has been through you and your committee. But Sarah
Well,
hired
that's-
Pogemeyer to do something.
She did, and it's there, so there was a document, but had it been approved by council? And if so, what was the ordinance? And why didn't I get the
don't have
ordinance?
ordinance.
I got a book, I got a document, I never got an ordinance.
That
Where's
is
the
That
ordinance?
is the ordinance.
She
It's
don't
called
call the
zoning
book or a
ordinance.
manual, she calls it the ordinance,
It's
that's
the-
how she refers
That
to
is
it.
the zoning ordinance that was approved. The one that Pogemeyer created is called the zoning ordinance. That is it. That is the ordinance.
So do I need to get a copy to compare that? Is that what, let me start with that when I read it over, or is that something that Gabe and I need to work on together?
Or council's
Or
gonna
council,
decide,
or
and probably
what do
go
we-
back and look at what was done in 2016 and see if that's what they're approving, or if they're approving whatever he did.
Did
I was gonna
Pogemeyer,
say, can we
99.
approve what the work that he's just completed? And just say that's what
As
we're
long
doing.
as you guys review it and agree to it, I don't
So
think
I
anyone
think
has
the one you're
reviewed it.
working from to fix that is the 16, because you said like they didn't change, like it might be Roman numeral 4 and it should have been 4A and they left it at 4B.
It was a good piece of garbage that I
I
would
know
be
that.
embarrassed to show it to anybody that was
And that's what
legitimately interested in doing any
And every
development in the
ordinance that's
village.
been done since 2016, when we have amended the zoning ordinance, has amended the 2016 zoning ordinance. So, just so you know, all of the ordinances amending anything in that has been off the 2016 zoning ordinance.
so it's referencing that book.
Yes.
Okay.
Or it's comparing it or making
But
changes
there's
to
there
whatever
should
the
be a
existing
lot in the
sections are in that.
2016, it was not the way I read those ordinances, it was amending this ordinance.
And I
This is
think it
still,
replaced it.
like all
I
the
think that whole new
sections, the
zoning
sections
ordinance
lined up with
replaced
that
it.
other
I think in
document.
the end we're fine. I think he picked everything
I
up.
think the
It's just him-
2016 totally restated and updated that one, so it became the
This-
new
The
zoning
16
ordinance.
was
Yes.
inclusive of this.
Yes.
updated it, and then now this
That's my
includes all
understanding,
three.
but Pogemeyer
Or-
created it. That's my
That's kind of what I'm
understanding.
getting out of it too.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's
So-
okay, it's gonna
and
have
probably-
everything.
Yeah, it's like, so I probably need the 16 version to check over it.
Do we have it?
Yes, yes, that's
Well,
what's
that's fine,
been
we
being
can get,
used
we
in
can give that to
2016.
Bryce,
Do we have
he
a
can look at
visual
all this
version of
stuff, and we can pass this
I'm sure
next
it's
month.
scanned in.
Right.
Yep.
I'm
It
sure
should
it's
be
scanned
on
in.
with the 2016 stuff.
It's scanned in and saved Bryce, it should be.
I will
I think Amy has
see
it.
how quickly I get overwhelmed.
So we had a motion by Jason to approve the zoning ordinance that incorporates all amendments to date. We can table that motion until the next meeting if there's no second, because it sounds like you're gonna go through and review it, Bryce.
That's my, yeah, that I would like to.
Okay.
Just to,
It sounds like it needs to be done with all the confusion.
and Amy, you can give that to me later if you want. I mean, we don't.
I know, I know that, Gabe has it, because I think that's what Gabe was making his changes off, because it didn't flow right.
So
Which
I-
Gabe didn't actually edit anything, he just fixed where, like, the sections didn't go in the
when
right
you got a
numbers.
70-page document, the formatting is a nightmare. Like I'd say I bet half of my time I spent fixing it so the section number in the footer matched the section number of the book, and that the page numbers lined up, and that things had the, you know, if it was section 307.03 in the previous book, it was still 307.03 in the current book. And I mean, I've gone through this with a fine tooth comb, and I've got an engineer that's like, I wanted this yesterday on an important project. So, I mean, if you guys, you know, think you need to take another month and maybe hold up a big project, that's up to you. But I'm telling you, this engineer wants to move, and they're not gonna do it without this book. So, but I'm totally, I will sleep easy knowing that that's done, and, it's right.
Need a
That's up to
motion to
council,
accept it.
that's up to council, there is a motion.
I mean, we've had him working on this
Forever.
forever,
Right.
and we finally reached the finish line.
Yeah.
And now we're not gonna approve it.
Well, I mean, I can see his frustration. I know he's busted his butt to get it done, but I also see, I mean, if there's a discrepancy in the information that's going from,
Sounds
like,
like
if they're
Amy thinks
missing.
there's not though, it
Yeah.
just sounds like, I don't think anyone understood that when they did it in 2016 to replace that, it followed the same, you know, formatting. It sounds like, I think what Pogemeyer did is when they set up the comprehensive plan, that's what they came in and did, which changed everything, changed the districts, it added districts, it changed.
They didn't change, added B2. They added B2 was the change of the districts. Then they screwed up and they made B2 the same, they overlapped it with another district, gave it the same section number. And then they left out some stuff at the end of the old book that was kind of important, that, but it was apparent that they maybe didn't get to, or I don't know. I don't feel like,
We have a first on the table to
Yep,
accept.
Jason made a motion to approve
Okay.
I can't remember what it says. Jason made a motion to approve the zoning ordinance that incorporates all amendments to date. So I'm understanding what Gabe did. There's been many amendments, whether it was from whatever zoning ordinance. There's been many amendments to date, and the new zoning ordinance incorporates all those amendments. So you're not approving any substantive amendments. Those have already been done through the
Right.
public hearing process, through the coming back to council. That has been done. If I'm hearing Gabe correctly, what he is asking council to do is just approve the new zoning, almost manual, if you will, that incorporates all of those amendments and makes this the new official zoning ordinance.
Cleaned it up and made it easier to understand, I'm guessing. Is what
and
the
you
idea
can look at
behind it.
that table of contents.
And I went through it, and it is far superior to what we have today.
You still stick with your?
Sure.
I'll second it.
And if we do find issues, we just change it, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's,
You have to
we
go through
say,
that
go ahead,
process.
and then if we say, oh, something had a wrong number on it, then we make a new motion? Is that
You just
correct?
have to go through the process though to officially amend. So
We're
if you
gonna
make any
be-
substantive changes, you would have to go through either a
hearing.
recommendation
But
and
if it's
then
just
a public
numerical
hearing.
or grammatically.
It's such, like I said, a
It doesn't
substantive
change.
change to make it
Right,
substantive.
right.
All right, we have a motion, by Jason, we have a second by Dean. Jason,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes,
Brian.
Yes.
Okay, it's passed.
got that done.
Thanks for doing that, Gabe.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sorry for the added frustration.
No, I don't, you know, I mean,
It's
I
just not understanding that
I mean, I
2015
went
just
through-
changed what they did.
I feel good about it.
Just put a lot of work in.
Now, this file will be like turned over to Amy or whomever, and then she'll just
I'm
make the
hoping
changes
it's
each
on the
time.
website tomorrow. And, then I can I'm gonna email the engineer tonight and send him.
All right, next.
I think we're on to the next.
George,
and we're gonna make-
engineer.
George.
there's gonna be a bunch-
George.
We're gonna
He's-
change
he's
the
looking at the
plan.
news.
George,
I mean, it's,
I don't know.
it'll be another new one, 'cause I'm not gonna
George.
wait
Okay,
this many
to you.
years. to
Gotta push
update.
forward.
We're gonna stay on it.
I like that.
Any luck with the,
I have had, a couple people reach out to me, but, no, not official.
okay.
Too many opportunities out there right now, it's a problem. Stickers are up and working, I don't know if you've noticed. We have-
Yes.
we have them on for-
Notice that rip fest.
We have to adjust, one of them down at the end, so that's why it's not been playing on a regular basis. Once we get that fixed, it should be all good.
So that was just a motion.
Are you,
It's already-
you've kind of got control over it then?
I do, it's actually, the system to run is in the office upstairs, the old clerk's office, I know, it's locked, but it's really simple.
Oh, I thought I thought you were handing me a paper to
No,
sign.
no, just trying to listen.
Thanks, George.
Okay.
Thanks,
Amy?
Third reading on resolution number 2022-03, a resolution to proceed with submission of the question of levying a tax, that is, a renewal of an existing levy in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of providing and maintaining fire protection and emergency medical services.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Can you do that? Yep. Who was the second? Kenny?
I did, yeah.
Dean Reister?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Yes.
Steve Jordan?
Yes.
And Brian Smith?
Yes.
Final reading on ordinance number 2022-15 and ordinance amending ordinance number 2010-16.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank
See you guys later.
An ordinance to retain the services of a zoning inspector for the village of Antwerp, Paulding County, Ohio, specifically to amend such ordinance to provide a one-time payment of completion of zoning ordinance update, which was what we just did. So this is to pay him for doing that.
I'll make a motion, we approve the ordinance.
I'll second.
That was Brian or Steve? Steve? I don't know your voices with my head down yet. Dean Reister?
Yes.
Steve Jordan? Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
And Brian Smith?
Yes.
Is this the levy?
Yes, it's all been ready.
The next one is the first reading of the floodplain regulations 2022-19 and ordinance adopting floodplain regulations for the village of Antwerp, Ohio. And the next one is an emergency reading of resolution 2022-07, a resolution authorizing the village fiscal officer to advance $30,796.70 from the general fund to the Ohio DOD Infrastructure Grant Fund and declaring the same an emergency. What this is we received a grant for the water plant engineering, and the bills are due, and the grant money has not came in. So basically, if you look at your financials, you'll see we have a negative in the DOD fund, and that is because we had to pay the bills. Brian authorized me paying the bills, and we thought the money was gonna be in our account in April, it didn't come. Thought it was gonna be in May, it didn't come. Now we're in June. I can't play around anymore. We'll get wrote up from the state auditor, so we're gonna put the money in. As soon as the money comes back to our account, then we put it back in the general fund. It's just in advance.
Do we need to do an ordinance to put it back in later? or
No,
do
this
we
covers
just-
everything.
I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules of 3 readings.
Second?
That was Jason, right?
Yep.
Dean Reister?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Yes.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Steve Jordan?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
And Brian Smith?
Yes.
What does DOD stand for?
Department of Development.
I keep thinking Department of Defense. It's like, we're putting in our own base here.
Make a motion, we pass.
I was second.
Dean Reister?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Yes.
Steve Jordan?
Yes.
And Brian Smith? And then the last is the RETA report, right? Yeah. In the month of June, we received for May payments $32,586.43, which is $9,230.03 less than the same month last year at this time, bringing us to a negative $24,018.48 from through June of 2022 compared to June of 2021. So that's it for me.
Brian?
Just a few things. One thing I want to discuss was Schaefer Road. I've had some people reach out to me. And we're still working on trying to find the funding. Currently, there's a grant under the critical infrastructure that's $500,000, and then you would estimate is it's about $1.2 million to fix Schaefer Road. Until we do an actual paid full engineering study, we really don't know. But let's just say it's $1 million. So you'd have to take out a $500,000 loan at 0%. It would run you about $16,000 a year. My recommendation is, because there's some different variables, that we actually move this to the appropriate committee, which I think is Public Service. And we sit down, we talk, we have Dennis Miller from Maumee Valley to come in. I'm meeting with him on Friday, but we talked today. There's some other options that we can look at doing and stuff, but I think maybe if that committee sat down with myself and Mr. Miller, I think it would be more advantageous than just trying to figure things out. So that's one thing. And I think, Kenny, I think you're chairing the committee. Railroad Street project, the village was awarded $48,500 in CDBG funding from the Paulding County Commissioners. That money will be available for use late March, early April of '23. Total estimated engineering cost today is just over $147,000. I've notified Jeff Cook of the timelines, and the village will be obligated to pay the balance, but the obligation predates me to begin with. So, we got the license for our Esri GIS system, and I'm working with Maumee Valley to assist us in putting that information onto that license so that we'll be able to view it. The beauty is I don't think there's a cost involved, and that they will be able to make ongoing changes for us, because every time the county auditor changes data, we have to change. My hope is that we'll actually be able to host it on our website, so that you won't have a right to change, but you would be able to get calls from realtors. What is the zoning for this? You can go in and click on zoning, and it'll show you our zoning map, and I'm getting our zoning map sent to me, and then I'll have them redraw it in a GIS shapefile. So that will be on there, as well as many other things, all the utilities. And we can do just about anything we want, but we've got to get it up and going, so.
When do you think that'll be active? Any idea?
I'll know more Friday, but it's probably gonna take a couple of months. I mean, because they have their own obligations and work. But doing it to help us out, so, but I can report back, I'll let you know.
Hey, Brian,
Sir,
can we use the county's GIS system and just pay into that since they already have a contract for it? Okay.
I talked with them, and we can't do that. They have provided me all the shape files for Antwerp. So we'll be able to, it'll show streets, it'll show boundaries, it'll show village limits, everything you see on theirs you get, but no, they don't. In Williams County, we do something like that, but they were very helpful, but we're not able to utilize theirs. So, Gabe and I, forgot his name, Gabe and I have been working with consultants that are representing the Family Dollar Tree, and they have made notice that they have acquired the former market parking lot, and they will be building a site in the very near future, and that is probably who Gabe was referencing. They have asked the village just to provide a letter of support. It's non-binding. Mel reviewed it and returned it for the mayor's signature. And that's all I have at this time.
That's the old River Street Market parking lot we're talking about?
IGA.
Okay.
So I think that's 106. And really, they just asked, if there's any objection. Well, the letter that we proposed for the mayor to send back is, as long as they meet all the necessary zoning and other approvals by the village and the state.
Right.
So, I would actually, since the mayor is going to send that out, we would like a motion that approves the mayor providing that letter to, it's, the name of the entity is Compton Eddy, who is developing that property, to send that letter out that there is no objection to that site for the Family Dollar Tree.
I'll make a motion. Can
I'll
we
second
accept
that.
that letter?
Who made the motion?
Price.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Sorry, I was
I
kind of
think I'm
questioning
the only
it.
Bryce
I
here,
was
but-
questioning it, but I was really calling your name. Dean Reister?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Yes.
Steve Jordan?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
And Brian Smith? So I can,
I do have one more thing, I apologize. Here is a copy if anyone would like some light reading. And it is the final general plan study for the water plant. And it goes through and it gives you a bountiful amount of information that you probably won't need, but it's a copy. I have it in electronic format as well.
Can you give me that?
Could you email
Send it to me or not?
email us?
I will send in a copy to Amy, and you can disperse it to all members of the council. I think I have all your email addresses, but
yeah.
Okay. Have any committee reports?
I do.
I wouldn't do it.
Sorry, hold on one second. So we met about last meeting when Doug Bragg came in and talked to us about his lot and all that stuff. Kenny and Dean and myself and Doug and Brian was out there. We kind of looked over the area. We agreed that you would need a survey if you're going to do it. And honestly, just kind of looking at it, I think we're all kind of split. I think Kenny is not too sure about it. Dean kind of was in favor. When we were out there, I mean, it all seems to be in a row. It's just a matter of that. It's again, the easement is the village property. So that I think is where the big consideration comes into play. So, and I think you want to talk about your.
Well, I don't see where there's an issue with allowing him access across over top of those utility easements, because we have roads with utility easements all over town. Now, whether or not the question is that's private property again, I'm not
I suggest that.
totally sure
That he make his
how this is gonna
driveway
work, because it
parallel
was
with
private
that.
property, and then we made it a public road. So I'm not sure what the boundaries of the public road and allowing and he's talking about parceling out that back lot for himself. He wants to divide the lot and make a new parcel, and then he wants a wider access to that facility back there that he's got. So I just see it as a public road that we would just be allowing a new parcel to have a little greater access, or I'm gonna say, not really say a little, but greater access to the property off of Water Plant Drive. When we talked about, we don't think there's really an issue with damage to the utilities, because, you know, those utilities should be deep enough as it is anyways. Everything should be below frost and within minimum grades, so it'd be the same thing all over town. That's just my opinion on
Yeah,
what I see.
I made a suggestion that if we let Doug widen his driveway parallel with the west side of his building,
North side.
or, no, the west side, that's west over here.
Oh, you're saying,
His driveway is here,
uh-huh,
and let him widen it to
oh,
here,
I see what you're saying, as
Yeah.
wide as,
yeah,
from the east to the west.
right, right.
So if the village does own any property, which it sounds like they do,
We do.
the proper way to handle that, if the council wants to allow it, is to do some formal encroachment agreement that allows it. To be able to do that type of agreement, we would need Doug, Bragg, or whomever is that, who owns that property that will be affected, to have it surveyed, because we will need to somehow legally describe the area that we're allowing the encroachment. So that's what if you guys wanna proceed, that would be what the next step would be, to get that legal description.
My
It
last,
sounds like there'd be two areas.
No.
They're going,
Just
he's
one?
gonna do away with the drive, and that's, I
Oh.
forgot, we to
Okay.
mention that, but, so he, in the two pictures that he provided us, the one with the
Just
drive
maybe
off the
one.
front lot, and since he's going to divide that lot, then he would fill all that back in, so that picture,
So that
that
would go
one,
back to its prior.
like, that's
way.
going back to refill,
My
reseed,
suggestion-
whatever.
So
So,
this would just be the one area.
so it would just be
that's
back here
to
by,
the
west side
yes,
of the building.
and he said, like, he's gonna parcel off, if you guys have the
About a
picture or
60
whatever,
feet.
not, but he was gonna parcel
no-
off
no
that
length
front
on the
lot
north
where that
No,
fence
he's
is.
talking about
So
coming off the
basically,
west,
from the
going
fence
straight north.
he's seeing it,
to the street,
make it as wide as,
is where he wanted to put
Right,
just
He,
getting
he would be able to
the
widen it
gravel.
okay, but
So-
not beyond that.
not beyond that, that was my suggestion.
Yeah, so you can
So I
see,
guess
sorry,
you
my
just need
scribbles,
one
but,
full description,
But
just to
yeah,
have one.
this fence
guess-
right here,
I'd have less.
it comes out, like, there's a straight line
I
to
don't
the
get
road, so he
opposed,
wants to
but just-
take this and I'll make it all
He
gravel.
wanted to go all the
So,
way down.
And technically, the easement only goes, and that's what this line is, the easement only goes back so far, so he could come out to the easement. He already has the drive, so technically, he could come in through the drive, he could bring it out to, the gravel out to the easement, and then since he's parceling that lot, he could technically, if he needs another 10 feet or 20 feet, he can move that fence. I mean, he can move the line, because it's his lot now, so he can break it up however he wants to break
Sure.
it up.
And he talked about making himself enough on the west side of that building so he could swing in there wherever he had to do.
Right.
And he did mention that if we weren't in agreement on allowing him to do any of this, that when he parceled it off, he'd make an easement down through the properties that are there now. It just wouldn't be very convenient for him, and he probably wouldn't be able to use the building as he wants to use it. Cause he wants something 60 feet wide so he can swing his utility trailer in there, is what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, so does this committee have a recommendation?
The committee's just kinda letting it go to the council and seeing, and doing what we're doing now. I
Did
mean,
you see that?
I
Yeah,
think that's
he's
where
got
we're at.
Yeah, well, my
Maybe we
suggestion
need a
was
survey
let
before they
him
can
widen
do
his
anything
driveway.
anyway.
Doug's got his
Once
survey
they're
called in,
changed.
but they're all backlogged, so it's gonna be a while before he can get a survey.
So it sounds like there's nothing to be done at this
So you
time.
don't
But,
want
yeah,
him to
we
go
just
all the
kinda
way.
wanted to talk about it and let
That's right.
council know where
You don't
we're
want
at.
him to go all the
And
way
it
out
gives you
to the
guys time
fence.
to think about what
No,
we're doing down there.
we're not gonna let him,
He's trying to
well,
get
my
it accomplished.
suggestion would be, he wanted to
Normally,
go all the way down
It
here.
doesn't sound like there's anything to do at this time until there's a survey.
You don't feel, it should.
And my
step
suggestion would be let him
And
widen
once
his
the
driveway.
survey's done, if he
here,
wants to
give him
encroach
about
on
12
village-owned
feet
property, we
more.
could just do an encroachment agreement that allows him, as long as he
His
owns it,
driveway's
to
right here
be able
now,
to do
he'd give him
that.
about 12 feet wider
Those are usually
entrance
revocable by
into
the
his lot.
village, you know, if anything would
I think he
come
wants
up
to
where we
swing
would
around
need
from the
that
other
area
side
that we
though, right?
own, we
He
could
wants
always
to-
make it
How did they
revocable.
go about when they established,
Well,
when we
he
made
wants all
that
the
road,
room.
we made that Water Plant Drive a public road? So what's the dimensions, minimum dimensions of a public road? I know it's 35 foot for a township road, but I don't think that applies for us. That was the only thing I could find in the
Here's
ORC.
what, generally, here's what I think, with very little knowledge. Originally, it was a dirt,
Let me put that down.
it was always on village property.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's right. What I'm gonna tell you is probably not true.
Disclaimer.
Give a disclaimer.
I need a
sign.
sign. So over time, it kept getting built up and being more, or used more, okay? So we put it on our property, but we still own, the width of that property was greater, obviously, than the road was.
Right.
And that's why there's a discrepancy in the boundary lines from his perspective. He doesn't own to the center line.
Right.
And stuff. When you guys made it an official public road.
There was no description of the width of the road or anything.
Well, the
But we
property
did
lines were
include-
not decreased, there was,
We did
It
include
can't be made any
utilities.
wider because we have a well house
right,
further down there.
I'm not sure when they made that public road that they cared too much about dimensions. They opened that up for farmers back probably in the 80s to pull in, fill their water tanks for their farming applications. And they deemed it a public road, so there wouldn't be a problem with farmers coming in and out, because there was traffic back there this time of year all day long.
That has been private property up until 2019. We passed an ordinance in 2019 granting that to become a public road with all utilities as public
Okay.
property.
I wasn't aware of that. And
So,
then-
and that's something that I had just learned myself, because I was under the impression it was all private property.
Yeah, because they shut the water off.
But there was an ordinance passed in 2019 where we do Water Plant Drive as a road with utilities.
Okay,
So that's where I'm in a little, I don't care one way or the
yeah,
other.
I wasn't aware of that.
Do we need to ask Doug to like take a map and just draw what he actually wants to do and then we
That's
just
kind of what
approve
we
it?
did with the committee. We went out and we talked about it, and he was wanting to just do the whole width of what he wants to do and just stone it all in.
He takes like a satellite image, draws it, and then we can say aye.
Did he give us he just took the pictures, he didn't
Yeah, and
give
that's,
us
this
the
one has all my
plot.
scribbles all over it, but this one, what he wanted to do, if anybody wants to see it, but that's where that white fence is, so basically this line right here.
Well, he wanted to come out past that, but he only really wanted to make the drive.
The gravel from there to there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what did we say,
And
about
I'm
75
saying
feet?
we should just come to here.
in width,
I think it was what we
You're saying
measured
that.
up was about
Yeah.
75 feet is what he wanted to
it was
gravel.
gonna be large.
And honestly,
I-
after we were out there with Doug, and we started having these conversations about it, then we kind of came up with maybe some of these other options. So we technically could talk to Doug too about kind of what we're thinking and see, he might like one of these things better, and then we don't even have to deal with it. So,
I'm just on an idea that I'm not sure legality, and I've been waiting for Mel's advice on what we should do
The
on this.
encroachment agreement, I
Yeah.
already said, yeah.
So that's where
But
I'm
we need
at
a
with
legal
it.
description,
what-
and I would require that they pay for that, obviously, rather
Sure.
than the village. But if you do an
Well, he's gonna
encroachment
have to-
agreement, it allows him to encroach on village property, but it gives him the
But we
legal
can
right to
limit-
do that. And
limit.
you can make it revocable.
Okay. So that's kind of where we're at with the committee, I
Because
guess.
the village retains the ownership of it, is you're just allowing him to encroach on that village-owned property.
But if anybody sees there's other problems with it, then that's kind of what we're trying to figure out.
So you're gonna go back to Doug and see about,
Give it a
We
survey.
survey and
With
everything?
Doug again and work something out, and then we need
Okay.
them to,
So Brian, you're doing it.
yeah, I'll follow up with Doug, and
So in my notes, I'm putting Brian Smith will contact Doug about requiring a survey paid for
Well,
by
but it
him.
sounded like you had some other options that would maybe not even require that, so it sounds like you have some options, you just wanna go through with
yeah,
them,
well,
and
we
then
could
let
talk
him
to him.
decide.
Yeah,
But it's
and
gonna
then just-
require a survey, because no matter what he does, he's gonna
Gonna
encroach
go
on
over our
village
property.
Well,
property.
you said you had
Well,
one
if-
option where he wouldn't.
Because if he just brought it up to where the easement stops,
Right,
or
and now
starts,
expand
and then
the width
goes
of his
basically-
driveway.
Yeah, then he expands his lot. Then technically he's not touching village.
Except
Right.
for the drive that's already on there that shouldn't be on there.
he said he would fill that back in, right?
Well, you're talking about the house,
The front
and
lot.
we're back at the barn.
Yeah, but the back lot.
Oh,
but that
that
one,
part,
yeah.
right,
But then
right.
if he, and the reason he has to have that is because if he parcels that into two separate, then if he didn't have that drive, then he's boxed in. There's
It'd be
no way to
land-
get to his lot.
Landlocked if he
Yes.
makes a parcel.
So he has to have drive access. So the drive that's already there, I guess we are fine with relative to it's already there. And if that becomes a separate lot, there's no other way to get into that lot. So you have to have the drive for that.
The only thing
It
he did
already
mention in our
exists.
Right,
meeting
right.
is that when he parcels it, he could provide himself a drive easement, which would go east and west through the existing lot that goes up to Erie Street.
Where the house
On
is.
either the north side or
That
the
wouldn't
south
involve
side of the
us at all.
house, which wouldn't affect any of this, but it doesn't help him. He can do it, and he'll have a parceled out lot, but he won't be able to access it the way he wants to access it. That's why he's trying to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
Just so everybody's, full, knows what's going on.
Well, just, if you could figure out what the recommendation is from this committee, then I think we can come up with a game plan.
I mean, all in all, I think the committee's in favor of letting him doing something. It's just a matter of how much we're gonna let him do.
Yeah, we'll get with Doug again.
So I don't know if we need to have a whole.
That was, I don't know if I told you yes, because we started talking again, but yes, that's fine. So I'll get with Doug and talk to him about
No,
the options.
but I know between me and you, we'll nail it.
So, that's your
Yes,
report?
yes, that's the report. So,
Okay.
Okay, let's move, any other committees?
The only thing that I have is addressing the problem with fire personnel, fire and EMS personnel. The state is recognizing that they have caused a major problem statewide, and they're supposed to be addressing it. Take that for what it's worth. And I'm sure it's going to be done next week. But
Next election, maybe.
well, yeah, and but they do realize, hey, we're in trouble, so it might be moving.
Okay, great. Okay, new business?
I've got a couple things here. I had somebody approach me asking if they can have their water bills ACH withdrawn, where it's automatically withdrawn every quarter, because they had their water shut off and didn't realize it. And they got it back on. But
So what we recommend is they use their bank, the bill payer. All of the financial institutions have a thing set up
Mhm.
to where you can go on and you can do bill payer, and then it mails it for them.
mails it for them, but it automatically withdraws it for them.
Yeah,
And in the correct amount, they don't have to touch it.
well, it varies every
Right,
quarter.
because
So
it varies every quarter.
they would still have to go in and tell it how much and when to do it, but then
Right.
their banking institution, like Antwerp, Gen Fed, State Bank, they all have like a bill payer on there.
They do, but is there any way to have it where it just automatically withdraws when you, is there a way to set that up like Ohio Gas does and American
No,
Electric
it costs
Power?
us to do that, and when we went back to the few people that have called and asked about credit card and ACH,
Mhm,
we told them there would be a fee.
mhm.
None of them wanted to pay the fee, of the
Okay.
ones that called us and said, can I use my credit card, can I use my debit card, because we don't accept any of that, because then it comes like 3 or 5% back on us that we have to pay.
Right, credit cards.
And we
yeah.
said if we have, debits too, and I said if we have that opportunity to do that, would you be willing to pay the service fee that would be, and all of them were like, no. Now granted, in the 4 times a year that we do it, we probably only have 6 or 7 people that ask that
Mhm.
out of 700 bills, so it's a really small number. But we found when we tell them about the bill payer, that kind of helps them as well.
Okay. I do have one other thing. When we approved back in February, the American Legal Publishing, I noticed that we are one of the very few towns that do not have our town up on their our laws, all of our basic code on here. Like you have like Edgerton and Eden and Hicksville. When we approve that, do we have a way where it's always up to date then?
Probably
And
would have to call them.
and I was like, is that part of what we get when we approve
I think we just
it?
get the books.
Yeah, we just pay for the books.
Okay, because I know almost every town, like Paulding's on here, and you just click on it, you click their zoning, and you click
I
their.
seen that website too and noticed that we weren't on it.
Yeah, but I think that's who we go through, right?
I do
American
believe so, yes.
Legal Publishing.
Mhm.
And they have like for each state, and it's very convenient because it's easy to search, it's easy to look up and.
And that brings up the zoning ordinances for.
Yeah,
Basic code.
yeah, it brings up everything, not just
It
zoning.
wouldn't be zoning, it'd be
Or
basic
basic
code. It'd be
zone-
our-
Zoning is included on it, but like if I would click Hicksville. It then takes you to their stuff. You click on whether it's basic code, traffic code, street utilities, public service, planning and zoning, building codes. So if somebody wanted to develop out here at US 24, it's always up to date because it's actually submitted through the state and through the legal publishing. Like that's it. I just found it.
So I'm kind of confused because we accept Ohio Basic Code as is, so it's
Right.
exactly, so ours would be exactly.
As is, except when we have.
With our
amended it.
additions.
We have amendments to
Yeah.
that we
So-
approved.
So then what,
each
we're
year.
sending them every ordinance and resolution we pass and they put it on?
You'd have to contact them and see how that works.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a cost.
But-
affiliated.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Because I
how,
mean, you can get all that on our
but
website.
it's super convenient. I mean, everything's arranged by laws, not by ordinances. So, I mean, it actually breaks it down in such a way that it makes it easy. If I'm looking for a housing thing, I don't have to look through the last 10 years of ordinances. It's kind of like Gabe's book. It's kind of like Gabe's book, like the city of Bryan has it, and all of them use it. Well, Cecil doesn't.
There you go. There's your answer.
But if it's like, is it included with our package or whatever we approved?
I'm gonna presume that it's not,
It's
and it's
not.
probably
We just
just
get
a
the print.
fee or something that we would have to.
Yeah, we pay per book.
Yeah.
So.
But a lot of towns our size are on here, and it's like, well, this is super convenient. And
I
then,
don't know what it would take to find out. What it
You're the
would
one that
take.
buys the books.
All I do is, actually,
I'm
it's,
guessing it's just a phone call. No, I have no idea.
who deals with American Legal Publishing usually?
nobody, I mean, they just automatically send us a book, I get the bill and I pay the bill. We have a set copy every year that they send us.
Yeah.
That's it, we don't call them, we don't talk to them, it's just an automatic.
Don't we have a committee for this?
We might.
It's called an administrator.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
But
You-
I have
you
no
head
idea
that
what
one
it
up,
would
Brian.
entail.
Well, you just have to basically do is call them and ask them how to get on the website, right?
Pretty
Well,
much.
no,
I mean-
if we're gonna be submitting them everything and they're gonna put it in a
You'd have to
specific
send it to them
order
every
and.
month and
Right.
time
I'm
to
sure if
pass
we
an
just call and
ordinance.
ask how to be on the website, they will probably give you information on what's gonna be
Right.
Yeah,
required.
that's what I mean. I mean, I know it's gonna be a chore,
Yeah.
like it will add tasks, but I mean, just a phone call to ask them how do we?
Be sure they can send
Yeah,
us their
yeah, how
information.
does Edgerton get on there? How does, it is probably just, they probably give you a website that you just auto put it in and it
I'll
pops up.
contact the administrator in Edgerton and I'll ask her.
Oh, there you go.
Very good. Any old business?
I was just gonna update you on the 102 River Street that we talked about last month. That's the business here, Hoppenberg. So, we did find that revocable use permit had been provided years ago, for the sign that encroached in the right of way. Could not find a signed copy anywhere. It's from 2010. So we did a new revocable use permit, very similar to that one, except now we do have an official survey that the seller had provided to the purchaser of that property that specifically identified the encroachment, so we attached that survey to it. Brian has signed that as the village administrator and provided that to the parties, that way that issue is taken care of. That's the sign, the canopy, they've been encroaching forever. So those are specifically, again, noted on the survey. It's a revocable use permit. It's just for those that currently own the property, and so that issue has been taken care of. As far as the water line easement, just kind of waiting from them on a updated survey that closes the loop, they say, on that legal description, and then we can look at doing an amendment of the water line easement. But so seems to be pretty uneventful at this point, but that's what's going on with that.
That was under old business, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for old business, I would like to put up for vote the animal control regulations. Here, Amy, is a copy that I proposed 3 months ago. And it's just to allow small animals into R1 district, small agricultural animals.
I'll make a motion that we table having the discussions on raising livestock within the village limits until a motion is passed to take the discussion from the table. And we just need a second and to pass it.
I'll second.
Okay. So Bryce did you make a motion, Bryce?
Yes, I did.
So Bryce
Oh,
made
I
a,
didn't hear a motion, I think
Yep,
you just
I
said
made
he
a motion.
presented this, so if there was already a motion pending, then we need to see
Yes, I
if
did.
there's a second to that motion.
okay, so Bryce, what's your motion again? Can you?
I would
I'm
like
sorry.
to make a motion to modify the R1 to allow small agricultural animals for people to produce their own.
So you wanna make a motion to amend a zoning district?
The R1.
So the only way to amending the zoning map, so the only way you can do that is make a recommendation to present that to the zoning and plan commission to review. I don't have that with me.
Let's go to public
But it
hearing.
has to go to the planning and zoning commission first. So your motion, if you wanna do that, would be to recommend, transferring this issue, this animal control regulation, for modifying R1 neighborhoods to the zoning and plan commission to review. So that's in order to amend the zoning. You
Okay,
have to do that,
okay.
So that's his motion, so I got
Yeah.
a motion by Bryce, is there a second? And you'll help me with what you just said, right, okay.
No second? Okay, that's tabled then.
Well, it's
It's
not
not
tabled, it
tabled.
did not pass.
Okay,
It
dead.
did not get a second.
Right.
Now we go to Dean's,
What was Dean's, tell me.
yes, can you do that again?
I make a motion that we table the discussions on raising livestock within the village limits until a motion is passed to take the discussion from the table.
Okay, and I'll second that motion.
Motion to
Jason,
table raising
second that.
livestock in the village limit
Jason made a second on
until motion is taken off.
Till a motion is passed to take the discussion from the table.
And that was Dean made the motion, seconded by Jason Franks the first time. Jason actually did the first time.
But that motion wasn't valid at the time. that he
Okay,
made
so
it.
then Kenny Reinhardt. Okay, Dean Reister,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes, yes.
Bryce Steiner,
No.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
it. Okay. My mayor's report,
No more old business? Just making sure.
total amount that went to the city for this month was $207. Indigent driver was $3 with a total of $285.
Jan's not doing very good.
I know it. Nobody wants to come see me.
Low crime community.
She's got time to call that American Legal Publishing.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Well,
I'll
okay,
second
you
that
mean I'm
motion.
delegating it to you, my
6:43,
administrator.
6:43. Was that you, Bryce
Yes.
and Dean?
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Brian Smith.
Do you want a meeting set up before you leave?